Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good Stros peoples, wherever you are. Chris, if you're still in the hospital, then I hope you get out of there very, very soon. It's not fun to be hanging out in the hospital. The last time I went to the hospital and the time before that, both times were emergencies. Last time I wound up spending a week before they let me go home. It took that long to correct the problem. The time before that, it was 2 months. I stayed in the hospital 2 freaking months. I absolutely know what you're talking about, getting poked. I definitely am with you in my thoughts and prayers. I wish you nothing but the best. Crispy, you're right about that. Thank you for watching my video. Thank you very much. For those of you who don't know, I did make a video. It wound up turning into something that was much longer than I thought. The video itself is not long, but I thought it was going to be much, much quicker to make it than it was. I thought it was going to be much shorter. I thought I'd have it done in about an hour. Nope. It took many hours to finish that. So I appreciate you checking that out whenever you have the opportunity. Let's see here. We've got Game 3 today versus the Nats. I'm trying to sort out my preview screen right now. Whoops. I don't know what happened there. Okay, I see what happened. Okay. I apologize for being a little distracted. My preview screen for you guys is a little off kilter. I was just trying to get it lined up. Now it seems to be adjusted correctly. We're all good. Yep, that's right. That's right, Juan. I've got a poll question today about that. What are your thoughts of Correa coming back to Houston? Whether or not he's having an amazing year, I feel like it could be for sure an upgrade. I think for sure it'd be an upgrade. There are a couple of reasons why. I think that he would improve the clubhouse, first of all. I think that would definitely happen. Number two, he would improve the feelings of the fans. Number three, I believe that he would actually play better here than he does elsewhere. So I think it's not a bad choice if we can get a good deal. We got the first pitch coming up in a few minutes. Let's take a look at the Astros lineup right quick. If you'd like that. I know I'd like. Let's see what we've got today. Check it out, guys. Jose Altuve is leading off. Haven't seen that in a long time. Batting first, playing second base. Now he's got the double combo. He's got the combo going on. The double whammy. Playing second and leading off. How about that? Yainer Diaz catching today, batting second. Christian Walker DH today, batting third. Pretty interesting. Pretty interesting indeed. Cam Smith in right field batting cleanup. Victor Caratini at first base, taking over for Walker and batting fifth. Mauricio Dubon at third base, batting sixth. Cooper Hummel in left field, batting seventh. McCormick in center field, batting eighth. And Zach Short, again, batting ninth at shortstop. Of course, Ryan Gusto's on the mound today for the Stros. I do hope that he has a really good day today. Maybe Gusto will go 6 innings and give up just 2 runs. How about that? It looks like today's game is not too popular right now. Only got about 16 people following, but you 16 are very, very welcome. Glad to see you here. Judy, I haven't heard any updates specifically about Alvarez. Let me see. Let me do a little search. Past 24 hours. Okay. There is a report from 3 hours ago. I can actually share this with you on the screen. This is, by the way, this is on CBS Sports. It's reported on a few other sites, but also CBS Sports. It says here that Dana Brown said Wednesday Alvarez could be activated in mid-August. So in just a couple of weeks. He's working his way through a hitting progression. Could be ready to face live pitching soon. And he is sure to require a rehab assignment. But any timeline is approximate, given how his recovery has gone. So you could say his 2-week timeline return is tentative. It's approximate. So best case scenario, 2 weeks. That's it. That's the update. That is the update. That was posted just a few hours ago, so that's the latest news. Just came out today. C.J. Abrams is going to be leading it off for the Nats, followed by James Wood and Luis Garcia Jr. Bell, Lowe, DeYoung, Lyle. Who's this guy? Drew Mias. And then Young. So DeYoung and Young are in the lineup today. I want to keep this fan on myself. It is, I think it's a little warm in here this morning. 1 second. I think I've got, I'm gonna turn my other fan around. The temperature outside is actually nice. It's really nice and cool, but I haven't been pulling that air in with my fan, so it's not quite as cool in here this morning as it was yesterday. One moment. I know it sounds a little crazy, but I really look forward to August here in this area. The temperature starts to go down, especially at night. It gets down to about 66, 65 degrees. Past couple of nights, it's been so nice. I have a fan that's built into the wall. Oh, well, it's not a wall, it's actually a sliding door. I have almost no walls in this house. On the back door there are 3 sliding doors, and there are 3 panels that you can actually lift up and pull out. You can just take them out. And I took one of those panels out and I built myself a custom panel that holds a fan. And so it also it closes. It's like a vent fan. It pulls in that cold air from outside, so I can cool down the house at night very cheaply. Gusto's on the mound. First pitch to Abrams, a little outside, maybe a foot. Ball 1. We are started here in Houston. Let's get it going. Here comes the 1-0 pitch. It's just a tad outside on that one, just barely misses. He's getting closer to the zone. 2-0. I just remembered that because it's an afternoon game. It's a little after 3 a.m. here in Japan. Here comes the 2-0 pitch. Misses again outside. 3 pitches, fastballs, all outside for Gusto. But being an afternoon game, that's probably why not too many people listening in right now. Here comes the 3-0 pitch. Low and inside, he misses. Gusto tried to put one right in there, but he couldn't even do that. 4-pitch walk on the very first batter. Abrams is on base, and the Nationals have a leadoff runner. Hey, Gregory, let's go Stros indeed. Gusto tosses it over to first base, but Abrams is back. I think I managed to sleep for 3.5 hours max. Strike 1 finally. Right down the middle. James Wood at the plate. Abrams at first base, no outs. 0-1 pitch on the way. Man, that could have been a strike on the inside, just barely missed. 1-1. Hey, Shrewdly, welcome back. Go Stros. 1 ball, 1 strike to James Wood. Here's the pitch. Right in there, nice. Curve ball, 79 mile per hour curve. That was beautiful. Day off is good. Hey, Drambam. Good afternoon to you. Thank you. It's definitely, it's more middle of the night here, but I guess you could call it morning. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Here's the 2-2 pitch. Fouled off. James Wood is leading his team in strikeouts. All right, guys and gals. I apologize, but apparently it seems that I thought my satellite was adjusting there for a second. Sometimes it adjusts, but it seems like it might be another outage. They had an outage a couple of days ago. Altuve rips it on his first at bat all the way out to the left field wall. That's where we're at. I missed the very top of the inning. Well, it looks like the Astros didn't give up any hits. Gusto didn't give up any hits in the top of the first. Didn't give up any runs, so that's good. I missed all of that because of my connection issue. But I am back up now with my temporary connection. Hopefully that works out for now. Diaz at the plate with Altuve on first base. On the inside edge, strike one. Sorry about that. I'm now using my data connection. Here comes the 0-1 pitch to Yainer. In the dirt, foul tip, strike two. Yainer had a really good day yesterday. 3 hits and a homer. Oh, and 2 is the count. Here comes a pitch from Geaux. This is hit to the opposite field again. There we go. That'll be down. Altuve runs over to third. No problem. Another opposite field hit. The opposite field king, Yainer Diaz. Curveball right down the middle. Little bit of movement, but he was able to get it low in the zone. Smack it into right center field. Runners on the corners in the first inning with no outs. How about that? This is the kind of team I like to see, hitting the ball, moving runners around. Christian Walker now at the plate. Runners on the corners. Here comes the first pitch. That is a strike. I want to check to see if there's a Starlink outage around here. Here comes the next pitch. Outside, check swing. They say he went around. That's strike two, 0-2. Yeah, he went way around. Yep, that was a bad one. Oh, and 2, the count to Christian Walker with 2 runners on. Here comes the toss from Geaux. Right in the zone. Walker fouls it off. Oh, and 2 is the count. Mackenzie Gore steps off the rubber. Walker takes a little time out there. Altuve at third. Yainer Diaz at first. Here comes 0-2 pitch. Too far inside. Good take. 1 ball, 2 strikes. 19 people following along right now and 19 likes. That's awesome. Afternoon ratio is freaking awesome. It's number 1. Here's a 1-2 pitch. In the dirt. Fouls it off. That was a big curveball. That was a dirty curveball. Started off way high and then went into the dirt. I'm surprised Walker was able to hang on to that one. He hits that curveball better than he does a straight pitch, it seems. During the break, I'm going to try to connect to Starlink again to see if it's back up. I see some people have reported outages, but not a huge amount. If it's in the thousands or tens of thousands, that's an issue. But when it's only like 50 or so. Here's the pitch. He goes around. That's in the dirt. Walker can't get a hold of that one. That one was massively in the dirt. He goes golfing. Strike 3. One away. Now we got 2 more guys coming up who can cause some damage. These are our... All right. So it appears that it was just down for a few moments. I'm not sure exactly why. Not sure why it was down, but now it's back up, so should be good to go. It's pretty interesting because the other day, whenever Starlink went out, it was a worldwide outage. It wasn't just local. It wasn't here in Japan. It was everywhere. There was an outage everywhere. I think that that's a problem when you have an outage everywhere at the same time. You know, a long time ago, I actually got satellite certified. I could install all sorts of satellite dish systems, the HD systems, digital dishes, you know, the really big oval HD dishes, the internet dishes, and the regular standard dishes. But I also got certified in high-speed internet and digital cable. I worked for Comcast for a while doing the Roadrunner installations and digital cable television, all that good stuff. I learned all that stuff. It was pretty cool. And a system like that is more localized, typically. If you have an outage, it's just in a particular area. If there's an outage in Texas or in Houston, it's not going to affect me here in Japan, typically. But for Starlink, that's a different story. Strike on the outside edge to Josh Bell. Bell at the plate, batting .224 for the season. Here comes the 0-1 pitch from Gusto. Woo! Right in the bottom of the zone. Just barely got it, but called a ball. 1-1. I think that the chat is going to be mostly quiet today, I would imagine. Many people have to be at work. 92 on the inside edge. Strike 2. If you're working today, working this afternoon, gambare. Do your best. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Josh Bell. Here comes the next toss from Gusto. He fouled. No, that's going to be fair down the third base line. No play. Opposite field hit for Josh Bell. Even though Josh Bell is a super slow-mo runner, nobody was expecting that ball to be a cue shot down the third base line. Just a little tapper. Nobody over there, really. By the time Dubon gets to it, there's just no play. Even the world's slowest runner can get to first base on that one. Infield hit. The first hit for the Nationals. Here's the pitch. Nathaniel Lowe at the plate takes that one for strike 1. In the top of the second, Astros up 1-0. 2 hits to the Nationals, 1. 1 runner on, no outs. Here comes the 0-1 to Nathaniel Lowe. High and outside, 1-1. One ball, 1 strike. 20th pitch of the game for Gusto right here. That's hit into right center field, and it'll be down. Bell is going for third. He's able to get there. So he chugs it all the way over to third base, and now, just like the Astros give up the exact same hits that they got in the first inning. A single, and then another single. Now we have runners on the corners, just like the Astros did. That's crazy. It's strange that he was able to get to third base. They're having a little discussion on the mound now, but if you look at the way that ball was played, it didn't make any sense. How in the world was Josh Bell able to get to third base on a single to right center field? And it's because both of our outfielders, Chas McCormick and Cam Smith, didn't rush for that ball. They got it in too slow, and so that allowed Bell to get to third base. So lazy play there for some reason. Next batter at the plate takes that first pitch on the outside edge. This is Paul DeJong. A little bit of lazy play there for the Astros. Not something you see very often on their defense. Here comes the 0-1 pitch. A little too far outside, 1-1. Hey, we've got 43 people listening in. That's great. Welcome in. Thanks for being here. Like the live stream if you have the opportunity to do that. Here's the next pitch, a little outside. 2 balls, 1 strike to Paul DeJong. Gusto up to 23 pitches. Here comes the 2-1 pitch. High. 3 balls and 1 strike. Two runners on, no outs. And a 3-1 count to Paul DeJong. Do your best. Here's the toss. Hit high in the air. That was right in the zone. Shallow left field. Everybody back for it. Short's going to grab it and bring it into third. Good out number 1. Neither runner is able to move. Can't imagine how Josh Bell would be able to tag up right there. That ball was just behind third base. If he had tagged, they would have nailed his butt. Dalen Lyle comes to the plate with 1 out. How about a double play ball? This is a rookie. Here's the first pitch. High and outside, ball 1. Gusto throwing quite the number of balls today. Right now, he's 50-50 on balls and strikes. 26 pitches, 13 strikes, 13 balls. Here comes the next delivery. Ooh, that was nice. A little high at the top of the zone, but it was close. 1 ball, 1 strike. Here comes the full count, even count pitch, rather. That one was basically in the same spot with the Swiffer, but fouled off. If I misspeak a little bit, you'll have to forgive me. It is 3:30 in the morning here. I still have a decent amount of junk in my eyes from my short nap. Here comes the 1-2 pitch. Nope, he goes over to first base. That was pretty low, kind of dangerous. If that had been missed by Caratini, then Bell would have scored easily. 1 ball and 2 strikes with 1 out. Runners on the corners. Gusto facing Lyle. Here's the pitch. Another high fastball fouled off. Count remains 1-2. You guys have any special plans for after the game? After work, if you're at work? Do you guys like to chill out at home after work, or do you try to fill your time with something? Lone outside. That was a nice looking changeup, but he didn't go. 30 pitches now for Gusto here in the second. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Here comes the 2-2. Right in the zone, 88-mile-per-hour cutter, and fouled off. Count remains 2-2. Very soon the days will start getting shorter, right? Here comes the 2-2 pitch. Right in the zone and hit really hard into center field. Chaz is underneath it. He grabs it. Bell's going to tag. Here comes the throw at home plate. Too late. Just deep enough to score. McCormick doesn't have a big arm. If we had a rocket for an arm there, maybe, because Bell's not a fast runner, but that ties the game 1-1. So sacrifice fly to center field ties up the game. Runner stays at first. 2 outs for Drew Mias. Is that right? Mias? First pitch to him is on the outside edge for strike 1. Oh, Millis, of course. I see 2 L's. And I'm thinking Spanish style, but they call him Millis, of course. Because I said it first, that's why. Drew Millis, 0-1 is the count. Here comes the pitch. A little too far outside, 1-1. 2 hits now for the Nationals. They are completely even with the Astros. Both have 2 hits and 1 run on the board. Here comes the 1-1 toss. Right in there, grounded foul down the first baseline. Just a little bit foul. 1 ball, 2 strikes. One ball, 2 strikes with 2 outs, runner on first. Here's the pitch from Gusto. Millis fouls it off. 81-mile-per-hour curveball. Staying alive. Just like this strange bug that I felt sad because there was this really weird looking bug that I saw, and it was crawling towards my house after I was cleaning up some stuff in the backyard. Here's a 1-2 pitch. A little outside, ball 2, 2-2. I had kind of a small burn pile, and I thought, you know, I really think it's too close to the house. I want to move that, so I was cleaning it up, and I was having to sift through all of the ash and the dirt and stuff to, you know, separate all the junk and the metal and things. Here's the pitch. This is hit high in the air. It looks like it's going to be fouled out of play, and it is. Count remains 2-2 to Millis. But while I was doing that, shifting all that soil and all of that ash around, this bug came crawling out, this very long bug, and I'd never seen anything like that in my life. Of course, I'm in Japan, so sometimes some of these creatures and critters look a little different. And I wasn't quite sure what it was, and I didn't want it to go towards my house, so I kind of tried to stomp it. This is hit hard, but fouled off. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Gusto all the way up to 39 pitches. This next one will be his 40th pitch. He's really having to work his butt off in this inning. So many foul balls. But I found out later that was just a Japanese cricket. Harmless. Unless there's an infestation, and then they can cause damage to crops. But there are no crops around here. I'm not growing anything outside I need to worry about. I have a bonsai tree. But they're not going to bother that tree. And I definitely don't have an infestation. So I felt bad after that. However, fouled off again. 6 foul balls. The count remains 2-2. 40 pitches now for Gusto. But a few moments later, I realized that cricket started crawling again. He didn't look like he was doing very well, but that's kind of how Millis looks right now at the plate. That's why I told you that story, in case you're wondering. Here's the pitch. Swing and a miss, finally. Breaking ball in the bottom of the zone. Millis goes down with a strikeout. Gusto picks up a special K. Tommy want swingy. Tommy likey. Tommy wants swingy. Well, finally, you get swingy, Tommy. Finally. Holy cow, man. I don't want to see Gusto having to work his butt off like that just to get one out. Goodness gracious. That was about 11 pitches on a 2-2 count. That's insane. More than 25% of all of his pitches so far in this game just from one batter. That kind of reminds me of whenever pitchers face Isaac Paredes, right? Do you guys remember? I can't remember which team it was and which pitcher it was, but there was one pitcher that had he was taken out early from the game, and they said that about 1/3 of his pitches were to Paredes. Can you imagine that? I think he pitched 4 innings, maybe, and his pitch count was very high. And they said that 1/3 of his pitches were to Isaac Paredes because he just kept fouling everything off. If it was a ball way out of the zone, he wasn't swinging. But if it was anywhere around or in the zone, he was just fouling it off like crazy. I wish I could remember what game that was, because I'd like to go back and clip that, some of those at bats. That was pretty funny. That's one of the reasons I want an assistant. Obviously, I can't have an assistant right now, but if I had an assistant, I would make these notes during the game. Then later on, I'd see about clipping those into highlights and posting them on the channel. There are so many things that I want to do with this channel. Just don't have the time and sometimes even the health to do. Doobie is at the plate. First batter of the inning. The bottom of the second. 94 in the top of the zone for strike 1. Oh, 1 pitch from Gore on the way. High and outside. 1-1 is the count. You know, the Dubon is like a fine wine. Here's a pitch, high and outside. In my opinion, in my perspective, you could even say he's the type of song that when it comes out, you think that's okay, that's all right, and the older it gets, the more you like it. Low and inside, 3-1. And then, eventually, the song becomes one of your all-time favorites. In your mind, it is a classic, a perfect song. It's kind of the way I view Dubon. Little inside, ball 4. How about that? Good takes by Dubon, not going after that stuff. 5-pitch walk. Doobie heads to first base, a leadoff runner. Let's get that run back and a little more. As they say in Louisiana, lagniappe. Do you guys know lagniappe? A little something extra? Lagniappe, a little something extra. That pitch is outside to Cooper Hummel. Hummel, a minor hero yesterday, coming in for that pinch hit. And they brought in a different pitcher, and he switched around to the left side and hit it right up the middle on the very first pitch. Got things going for the Astros. That was just a tad high, but called a strike. The umpire has been pretty consistent with calling those strikes. He likes that high fastball. 1 ball, 1 strike. The 20th pitch of the game coming for Gore. Half of where Gusto's at. In the dirt, a bouncer. Dubon was not leading off the base, so he's not able to get to second. He remains on first. 2-1 to Hummel. I want to see another Hummel homer. Here's the pitch. Right in there. 95 miles an hour. Man. In the middle and inside just a little bit. Man, you could have pulled that one. 53 people following along. It's steadily growing. Thank you all for being here. Thank you so much. Please remember to like the live stream. Swing and a miss. Hummel goes down swinging. Strike 3. One away. Doobie at first. McCormick at the plate. Here's the pitch. He goes after that first pitch. Rips it hard. Way up into the upper deck. Way up there. Foul ball. But man, it was way up there. That was a towering foul ball. For those of you who are not subscribed to the channel, I would invite you to do so now. Thank you so much in advance for helping to grow this community. 0-1 to McCormick. Here comes the pitch from Geaux. Way high. 1-1. Oh yeah, that's right. Chaz doesn't have a home run this year. A little outside. Ball 2. 2-1. I really don't like getting these useless messages from the software. It just pops up on the screen. You have an excellent connection. Thank you for that useless information. Now it's telling me that I'm dropping frames. Just on the outside edge. Strike 2. 2-2 is the count. This software is so crazy. It says you have an excellent connection. I dismiss that. And then another notification that pops up says that I'm dropping frames because the connection is not so good. Make up your mind. 2-2 count outside just by a couple of inches. Full count. Three balls and 2 strikes to McCormick. Doobie on first. Here's the toss. This is hit hard to right center or left center field. Played by the center fielder. Doobie's going to have to run back to first. Man, he drove that one hard. Just couldn't quite get it into the gap. That's out number 2. Comes down to Zach Short. You guys want to take bets whether or not they're playing Zach Short deep? Even though it's 2 outs, if the third baseman is playing deep, maybe Zach Short will bunt the ball and get on. Surprise bunt? No, he appears to be swinging, at least for now. Ball 1, that's high. One and 0 to Zach Short. Here comes the next pitch. Low and outside, fouled off. 96 mile per hour fastball there. 1-1. Short batting .213 for the season with the Astros. You've seen a lot more playing action recently. He takes that one low and inside for ball 2. Doobie's still hanging out on first base after that walk. The leadoff walk. 2 outs. Let's move him around. Short. Here comes the 2-1 pitch. Just a little inside. Good take. 3-1. That was a good call by the umpire. Come on, man. If you've got a good pitch right here, you can launch on it. 3-1. It's a hitter's count. Here comes the pitch from Geaux. He rips it down the left side. It's knocked down. It's a bad throw to first base. Doobie is all the way around to third base. Short stays at first. He's not able to go to second. That was a rocket. A rocket down the third baseline. But man, what a play. He knocked it down and caught it with his glove. He just made a terrible throw. That was kind of crazy. It was a rocket down the line. He knocked it down and then caught it a second time. So he knocked it down and it was in the air, and then he caught it with his glove. Rifled it to first, but it was a wild throw. Altuve at the plate. He hits it out to left field. It's deep. It might be gone. It is gone in the Crawford boxes, baby. A 3-run jack by Jose Altuve. That's right. In the bottom of the second. My hero, Jose Altuve, getting it done again in July. Mr. July right there. You could say Mr. July and October. How about that? 4-1 Astros, courtesy of one Mr. Jose Altuve. All right. Astros all-time extra base hits. He's now tied with Lance Berkman for third. It's my hero right there. Yainer Diaz comes to the plate. Opposite field smack, but caught by the first baseman, and he touches the base for out number 3. But man, 4 hits for the Astros, and the big hit right there, boom. Altuve doesn't waste any time at all on that high pitch. Good job, Altuve. Altuve 2 for 2 today with a single and a homer. There we go. 4-1 in the second inning. Astros have scored 1 and 3. Can't be stopped so far. Geaux already has 4 earned runs, and Altuve has his number. I like to see that. 2 of the 4 hits today off of Geaux from Altuve himself. All right, now that's worth getting up at 2 a.m. for. And that deserves another cup of coffee. Another cup of coffee. Yo, you want another cup of coffee? Well, it depends. Depends on what kind of coffee it is. You know, around here we just have that Kirkland coffee. Well, that's all right. I guess I'll take it. Let's see if there are any Astros transactions going on. If they made any roster transactions today. 30th. I don't see any new ones. Don't see any new transactions yet today. So no trade news for the Astros. Ryan Gusto back up on the mound with 41 pitches. Here comes the 42nd. High and inside, ball 1. Jacob Young at the plate, the 9th batter in the lineup for the Nats. Here comes the next pitch. High and inside again. 2 balls and no strikes. Simmer down now, Gusto. Here comes the 2-0 pitch. Right in there, 92 miles an hour on the fastball. 2-1. Here comes the next pitch. He hits that one out into right field, all the way out to the wall. It's floating back on the track. Woo! Just barely able to contain it. Stays in the park. Cam Smith puts it away. That was just a few feet away from being into the first row out in right field. Out number 1. Don't go giving up the long ball, Gusto. C.J. Abrams at the plate, his very first at bat. He had a 4-pitch walk to start the game. Let's see if Gusto can shut him down this time. Here comes the first pitch. Ooh, I'm surprised the umpire didn't call that one a strike. 93 at the very top of the zone. He usually likes those. Look, he's wearing a skull necklace. What kind of jewelry is that to be wearing in a baseball game? Swing and a miss. 92 right in there. The count is 1-1. Here comes the 1-1 pitch. Nice toss, but he didn't go for it. That was a beautiful looking curveball. Wound up too far inside for a ball, but I'm surprised he didn't swing at it. 2 balls and 1 strike. Here comes the next pitch from Gusto. Ooh, that was nice. 93 on the inside edge. Have you noticed how they always say on the inside corner, but actually wasn't on the corner at all? It was the inside edge. If you guys are wondering, why does he say inside edge? Because it's not on the corner. It's not on the upper corner or the bottom corner. It's literally on the edge. Here's the next pitch. This is a little tapper back to Gusto. He flips it over to Caratini for out number 2. Nice. A little soft tap, tap, taparoo. Second cup of coffee is officially ready to go. Two outs. James Wood High School comes to the plate. James Wood. First pitch on the way. Nice curve. Foul tip into the glove of Diaz. Strike 1. Last at bat. Apparently James Wood grounded into that double play I was looking for before my internet went out. So that's what happened. Oh and 1 is the count. I'm sorry, 0 and 2. That pitch was another swing and a miss. Here comes the 0-2 pitch. Not a bad try, but a little too far and low inside to be competitive. He takes it for ball 1. The count's 1 and 2 to James Wood. 2 outs, nobody on. Could be a short inning for Gusto right here. A little low. Ball 2, 2 and 2. Don't let him come back in the count. I think you can get this guy to swing and miss with that curveball or the changeup. Just give him a good one. Here comes the 2-2. Right in the bottom of the zone. Fastball, strike 3. How about that? Gusto gets the K. Boom, right across the knees, baby. Tommy likey. Tommy wants swingy. Well, Gusto gives you swingy, Tommy. That's it for the Nationals in the top of the 3rd. Good solid inning. 1, 2, 3 for Gusto. Fly ball. Tapper to the mound, and a strikeout. He's up to 55 pitches. He has improved a little bit, actually. 33 strikeouts. So now he's showing signs of not just settling down, but improving. His strikeout to ball ratio is better. due up for the Astros in just a moment. Christian Walker, who's a DH today. Cam Smith and Victor Caratini. Cam Smith does have a sacrifice fly. Let's see what the Stros can do here. They scored in the first, scored in the second. Shall we keep it going? Is this going to be one of those games where the Astros wind up scoring about 13 or 14 runs? They just keep getting 1 run here, 2 runs there, 3 runs here. Every inning. That second cup of coffee doesn't taste as good, but it is nice and hot. Walker at the plate. Here's the pitch from Geaux. Curveball inside and low, taken for ball 1. Good take. That was a nice looking pitch. Walker wasn't biting. Here comes the 1-0 rather. 96 fouled in the air. No, that's over on the right side. Looked like a foul ball off the bat. Fly out to second base, out number 1 on the second pitch. Let's not give Geaux an easy inning. Even with his cold streak, Cam Smith is still second on the rookie hit leader list. Speaking of Cam Smith, he's at the plate. First pitch is high. Check swing, ball 1. Here comes the next toss. 90 on the inside, strike 1. 1-1. Here comes the 1-1. High and outside, ball 2. Yeah, the Astros have the Marlins coming up shortly. They're talking about them being the youngest team in the MLB. Fouled off by Cam Smith. It counts 2-2. 1 out, nobody on here in the bottom of the third. Here comes the next pitch. This is tapped foul down the third baseline. Count remains 2-2. They're talking about how the Astros typically perform in Fenway in Boston. Altuve usually has a pretty good time there. He owns the park. But then again, he owns a lot of those big market parks. Dodger Stadium, Yankee Stadium. Here's a pitch. This goes up the middle. That's going to be a hit for Cam. They can't get to it. Just a slow roller right up the middle between the shortstop and second baseman. So a 1 out single. The Astros have their 5th hit. So we got a fast runner on base for the Batman Victor Caratini. That brings up the Batman. Here comes the first pitch. 95 right in the middle of the plate. Caratini batting righty today. Caratini takes a moment. 0-1 is the count. Cam on first base. Here comes the pitch. Right in the bottom of the zone. Strike 2. Caratini takes 2 strikes in a row. Fastball and a curveball. Come on, Batman. Do your job. Hit that ball. Drive him in. Here's the toss. In the dirt. 2-1. I'm sorry, 1-2 rather. I had it backwards. I had it backwards, as my dad would say. Backwards. 70 people listening in right now. Why is the chat so silent? Is something wrong with the live chat? Let me reload it. Oh, I see. It's not updating on my screen. That's what it is. I see. Cam is going to steal second. The throw goes into center field. He's going to head to third base. The ball got away from the catcher. Cam went to second. And on the throw, the ball went way over the head of the second baseman. Look at this. So on the wild throw there, Cam Smith went to second base. Then they tried to make the throw. It went way over his head, way out to the right, too. Cam Smith is easily able to go to third. How about that? 2 free bases. Cam Smith on third. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Caratini with 1 out. There's the pitch. 3 balls and 2 strikes. That almost hit him. Yeah, you're right, guys. I didn't realize that. I'm sitting here trying to figure out why the live stream is not working. I reloaded it on my screen. Now it's working. But I think I might be able to refresh this. Let me see. Caratini fouls that one off. Count remains 3-2. Here comes another 3-2 pitch. He grounds it to third. They throw out Cam at home plate. The bouncer to third base. Cam tried to come home, but he gets thrown out. Caratini gets to first, but Cam is thrown out. Dubon is at the plate with 2 outs. Caratini on first base. He takes that first pitch right in there for strike 1. I'll get caught up on these chats here. Oh, it looks like we have new member, Gregory. Thank you for joining. Thank you so much. I didn't see that earlier. Thank you so much. I promise I will get to the live chat now that I've got it going here in just a moment. Here's the 0-1 pitch fouled off. 0-2 to Dubon. Yeah, the trade deadline for teams is kind of like how the U.S. government does their budget approval, right? At the last moment, right before the shutdown. Here's the 0-2 pitch. This is hit into center field. Looks like it's going to be easily playable. That's out number 3. 1 hit, 1 stranded runner, and 1 unfortunate play at the plate. The Astros don't get a run in the third, but we're still up by 3, 4-1, with 5 hits. 2 hits for the Nationals. Ryan Gusto will be back up on the mound in just a moment with 55 pitches under his belt. Let me try to get caught up on these comments. It's not updating on my screen. I don't know how to refresh that. I wish there were a way to refresh it. Where is there a refresh button? Refresh live chat in Prism. Yeah, I might not be able to get the chat going again in my software, but I'll take a look at the YouTube chat. Let me go through it here and see what's going on. Yeah, it's going to be pretty hot around here today. Still not as bad as being in the city, though. Being close to this mountain and high elevation, it's much cooler, much nicer. Yeah, we've got a lot of tectonic action, Alan. That's right. That is absolutely right. Yeah, a lot of activity going on. Electromagnetic and static electricity and stuff like that, causing satellite interruptions. You're right. Electronic interruptions. That's right. Gusto's back on the mound. The first pitch comes in there in the bottom of the zone, just a little low. Ball one to Luis Garcia Jr. Let's see here. That's right. Gusto doesn't have to face Kurtz. That's true. Foul ball. 1-1 is the count to Garcia Jr. Daryl, thank you very much. I hope you're having a blessed day too. I believe you are. Gregory says Doobie reminds me of Walt Weiss, former A's and Rockies. Here's the pitch. 93 in the zone, fouled back. 1-2 is the count. No outs here in the top of the fourth. Nobody on. Surprise bunt, yep. Judy asks, were you worried about the tsunami? Me? No, I don't have to worry about tsunamis here ever. I'm way above sea level where I'm at. This is hit high in the air to right field. Smith is underneath it. Cam puts it away, no problem. Out number one. Josh Bell is due up in just a moment. The elevation here at my house is quite high. It's about 1,800 feet above sea level. I have no worry about any tsunami, no matter how big it is. It doesn't affect me at all. Josh Bell at the plate. Here comes the first pitch. Right in the bottom of the zone. Strike one. 82 on the Swiffer. 0-1. Gregory Martinez, I meant to say, yeah, I saw it earlier, but thank you so much for joining my membership program. You can now use the custom emojis. Strike two there on Josh Bell. Got that inside corner. Here comes the 0-2 pitch. Oh, grounds out of the middle. It's off of Gusto's leg. Dubon fires it to first. They're going to call him safe at first base. Turns into an infield hit. Gusto tried to put his glove on it behind his back. He knocked it down, but Zach Short was right behind him. He would have been there for that ball. But unfortunately turns into a hit for Josh Bell. Josh Bell gets lucky 2 in a row. 2 infield hits in a row. How lucky can you get? Slowest runner on the team, 2 infield hits. Can you believe it? Here's the pitch. 91 just a little inside. Ball 1 to Nathaniel Lowe. 1 out, 1 runner on first. How about another double play, just like the first inning? That would be just perfect. Here's the 1-0 pitch from Gusto. Lowe takes that one for strike one. The count is even. Here comes the toss. Way high and outside. Ball 2. 2-1. Haven says, could you imagine Altuve, Correa, Jordan, Pena, Walker, Paredes, Cam, Yiner, Caratini on the lineup? I wouldn't mind seeing it. I'd want to see what would happen. Low and inside, ball 3, 3-1. Walker says, not sure I would want Correa back. Honestly, great player, but not worth the money. Yeah, that's kind of what I said earlier, is that's the main factor for me. Everything else is okay. I would just want to know how much. How much would it cost? Here's the pitch. Swing and a miss. Nice. 93 mile per hour fastball. Full count. Good spinner. 3-2 count coming up. Here's the pitch. Fouled back. Let's not start with the foul balls again. Yeah, Gregory, I see you dropping dropping the emojis. That's the Frem burglar. Fouled away again. Josh Bell's actually running on that play. Would have been funny if they struck him out. They would have easily thrown him out. Why was he running with one out? Why is Josh Bell running? Here's another 3-2 pitch. Fouls it off again. What I want to see here is I want to see a strikeout and then them throw Josh Bell out at second base. And this last pitch he did not run, but the one before that he ran. If Lowe had struck out, they would have easily thrown him out at second base. So I'm kind of wondering what the Nationals are thinking here. Here comes the 3-2 pitch. Swing and a miss. He does get the strikeout there, but Josh Bell was not running, unfortunately. That's probably for the best as far as the Nationals are concerned. I'm sure that after they tried that, they were like, yeah, let's not do that again. We got lucky. We dodged a bullet. That's a K for Gusto in out number 2. Strike 1 at the top of the zone delivered to Paul DeJong. Alan, we've got some guys coming back soon. Within the next couple of weeks. We got several coming back. Swing and a miss. Low and outside. Nice toss on the slider. Haven't seen too many sliders from Gusto today. Fish-eyed fool. Howdy. Welcome back. Yeah, we got an early game today, Robert. That's right. Thanks for coming back. Thanks for being here. Here comes the pitch. That's hit into center field. Chas makes a rolling catch on that line drive to center field. How about that? Nice. The Chasmanian roll, baby. Womp. Out number 3. Gusto showing a little bit of love there. So one fluke infield hit by Josh Bell. But other than that, nothing going on for the Nationals. 3 hits and 1 run. Astros with 5 hits and 4 runs. We lead this game 4-1 going into the bottom of the 4th. Caesar says, we're back. Go, we're back. I just know it. Yes, baby, we're back. We can't be stopped anymore. Do you guys remember the old 80s song from the movie Mannequin? They used it in the movie Mannequin. Nothing's gonna stop us now. Yeah. Something like that. And if this world runs out of homers. Yeah, I'll stop right there. Revenge with the A's. Yeah, we're taking out a little revenge. I want to sweep this next series. That will be our revenge series. Now that we got the bats humming. Michael says if a tsunami hits your house, we're all goners. That's true. That's true. If a tsunami hits my house at this location at almost 2,000 feet elevation, surrounded by little mountains, then you guys can be assured that there's a worldwide problem. Hey, Texas Dave, welcome back. Good to see you. Alan Walker says we thought Jordan would be already back, but he's not. I don't really trust our medical staff right now. Well, you know what? It's funny you say that because earlier I did give an update. By the way, Cooper Hummel's at the plate. First pitch is in there for strike 1. Curveball. Just a few hours ago, they gave an update about Jordan. And it's funny because even that, is intentionally vague. In the dirt, ball 1. 1-1 is the count. It says that the approximate window is middle of August. That's 2 weeks away. That's the approximate time frame. Here's the 1-1 pitch. Hummel hits that one pretty hard to center field, but it looks like it's going to be right to Young, and it is. One away. Basically, they said that over the next couple weeks, there's a progression with Jordan. He's swinging the bat right now, and then from there, he's supposed to take some live batting practice, and then from there, he's supposed to do rehab in the minors, and then he'll be back with the Astros after that. So that progression is supposed to happen over the next 2 weeks, but that's an approximate thing, they said. That's an approximate estimation. Right in the bottom of the zone, to Zach Short for strike 1. 1 out, nobody on here in the bottom of the 4th. Yeah, shrewdly, I kind of hope so. I feel that Trammell can fit in. I like Taylor Trammell. Short fouls. Oh no, I'm sorry. Chas McCormick is at play. Why did it? The information on my screen changes sometimes. It just jumps around on the MLB site. Chas McCormick is at the plate, not Zach Short. It's 0-2 with that foul ball. Here comes the 0-2 pitch. Chas maybe in Devil. Fouls it off. Chas with that really good catch. The nice rolling catch to end the inning. Let's see if he can take some of that luck and put it into that bat. McKenzie still on the mound. Mackenzie Gore, here's his 60th pitch. This is hit high into the air on the infield. It should be playable by the second baseman. And he makes the play for out number 2. McCormick goes down with the infield fly. Zach Short is now at the plate. Short with a single and a run today. Already having a decent day. Here's a pitch. High, ball 1. The curveball missing. Yeah, Short's kind of the low man on the totem pole, right? High on the outside corner, strike 1. 1-1 is the count. Yeah, shrewdly says that Short and Coop probably not going to make the roster once our other guys come back. This is hit to center field. Looks playable for out number 3, and it is. Short flies out, and that'll end the inning. That is a 1-2-3 inning for Mackenzie Gore. He probably feels a little bit of relief. He's up to 64, 65 pitches. Ryan Gusto will be back up on the mound with 74 pitches under his belt and 48 strikes. He has 3 hits. Now, so far, Gusto's having a good game. Honestly, 3 hits given up and 1 run. We need him to get through 1 more inning, but with 74 pitches, it may be unlikely that he goes beyond the 5th inning. If he can get out of this inning with about 15 or 16 pitches, he's going to be up to 90. Probably won't be back out the 6th inning. My guess. That's just my guess. That's what he's been kind of averaging. But that means he'll get through 5 innings, giving up 1 run. Let's hope he has a clean inning. Brendan says, I want Pena back more than 60% Jordan, to be honest. I'd rather have 100% Pena back than anybody else right now. If I could have anybody back right now from the IL 100%, I would choose Pena. Absolutely. No, that to me that's a no-brainer. Even if Jordan came back at 100%, I would rather have Pena. Why? Well, because Pena has been proving himself this year. Jordan has yet to prove himself this year. I know that he's had some struggles and issues with his hand, But even at 100%, he hasn't played in a long time. Pena played many games, and I'm sure he's raring to go. Houston, Texas, Dave. I understand what you're saying, but there's no way we can do that. High in the zone, strike one delivered to Dalen Lyle. That was a nice pitch. Here comes the 0-1. Outside, 1-1. We can't save Jordan. We need Jordan. We need him to make sure that we go into the playoffs strong. And we have a strong second half. So if he's playing well, we need him in the game. Foul down the first baseline. Strike two. 1-2 on that cutter to Lyle. Alan, you have a point there. I think I've heard other people say similar things. Next pitch is low and fouled off. The count remains 1-2. Alan says that if you told me in spring that Trammell, Hummel, Caratini, Short, Gusto, Gordon, and King would be regulars in August, I'd tell you that we were below 500. Most people would agree with you, for sure. Fouled off again, the 94-mile-per-hour fastball. I wonder how many foul balls there have been off of Gusto today. I think it's been 2. Too many. Here's the pitch. High and outside. Speaking of 2, the count is 2-2. No outs, nobody on. Here in the top of the 5th. The 2-2 pitch on the way. Fouled again at the plate. The 80-mile-per-hour pitch. Looked like maybe a change-up. What's for lunch in Japan? Well, I gotta have breakfast before I have lunch. It's not even 4:30 in the morning here. Just a little out of the zone. It's a full count, 3-2. They're showing some of the possible trades for the Astros. This is hit hard to center field, but Chaz is back underneath it. He'll put it away no problem. Dylan Lyle is retired, out number 1. I don't know about you guys, but I absolutely want nothing to do with Dylan Cease. I don't want Dylan Cease. Some people were trying to say, well, you know, the record doesn't matter. But look at his stats. Look at his stats. If we're going to spend money to get another starting pitcher, let's get a guy who's really, really on his game this year. Here's the pitch. Foul down the first baseline. Strike 1. Drew Millis at the plate. Over 1 today. Is it Joe Ryan? Is that the guy who's with the Twins? I'd go for him. Absolutely, I would. Opponent batting average is 201, guys. Hit up the middle. Gusto lets it bounce. It looks like Gusto was going to go after it with his glove, but then he kind of let it go, and Short got it on the bounce, and he throws over to first base for the out. That was funny. You got to trust them. You got to trust your defenders that they'll be there. 2 away. Jacob Young at the plate, facing the inevitable Ryan Gusto. And this is hit high into left center. Should be playable. McCormick's under it. Puts it away for out number 3. Easy peasy, Japanesey. Gusto has retired 12 of 13 batters. 12 of the last 13 batters. How about that? Nice, nice, nice. We go to the bottom of the fifth. 4-1 Astros. Ryan Gusto's performance today. Let's take a look at it. 5 complete innings pitched. 3 hits. 1 run. 1 walk. And that was the very first batter of the game. 4-pitch walk, actually. That's funny. 3 strikeouts. So he's not striking people out. He's not blowing their doors off. But he's making it difficult for them to get good solid hits on the ball. They've been fouling it off like crazy, but putting it in play in areas that are pretty easy for the Astros to get to. 86 pitches today, 57 strikes. 4 groundouts and 5 flyouts for Gusto. 18 batters faced. Good performance. Didn't I say that earlier? If Gusto gets through 5 innings and gives up no more than 2 runs, that'd be a great job. Well, here we are at the end of 5 for Gusto, and he's only given up 1. He has exceeded my hopes. And my hero is back up at the plate. 2 for 2 today. 2 for 2 is Tuve. A single and a homer, a 3-run shot. Whoa, up and in. Don't you be doing that, man. Stay away from Altuve's face. Altuve's look at him like, all right, did you really do that to me? I'll teach you some trick or two. I'll show you some trick or two. He fouls this one off. 1 ball, 1 strike. For those of you who know the movie Bloodsport, do you remember the guy that's going to fight with Van Damme at the Kumite? And he says, now I show you some trick or two. Here's the pitch. Altuve fouls that one off down the third base line. The curve ball, 80 miles an hour. 1-2 is the count. Brendan says we should trade Brown, keep Valdez. Trade Brown? Why would we do that? In the dirt, ball 2. The count is even. Why would we trade Hunter Brown? That would be terrible. What I want to see is keep Framber Valdez, keep Hunter Brown, and get a 3rd ace. That's what I want. That is my desire. 3 aces. Here's the next pitch. Bounced foul. Man, he ripped that one down the line, but a bouncer. Count stays 2-2. There's the BB. The bat boy. That's the seat that I want to get right there. If I go to the next, when I have the opportunity to go to Dykeen Park, that's what I'm going to do. This one's hit into left field. Another hit for Altuve. Look at that. He rips it into left field. Line drive. What do you say, Jose? He rips it way out into left field for yet another single. Oh, yeah. He gritted the teeth and gave the tongue. That's what you get for throwing at Altuve's head. 2 singles and a home run today for Altuve on this pitcher. He is owning the mess out of him. Shiner Diaz at the plate takes a miss on that one. Diaz does have a single today, an opposite field single. Swing and a miss there. 0-1 is the count. No outs. Altuve on first. Here's the pitch. Fouls that one off. 0-2. Gregory, you want Springer back? How old is Springer now? Yeah, there are many different bones. That's in the dirt. Altuve easily goes to second base. Good read by Altuve. Altuve was watching that one closely. Good job, Altuve. The double play is eliminated because of that move. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Yiner. Can he bring him around? I think he can. Yes, we can. Here's the pitch. Right in the middle of the zone. Hit high in the air, and it's going to float foul into the crowd. Count remains 1-2. That was one of the first things I learned when I was studying Taekwondo. My teacher was not just a Taekwondo teacher. He was also a super middleweight champion kickboxer. And he taught me about punching. You don't punch with your outside knuckles. Swing and a miss, strike 3. Yiner goes down. 1 away. Christian Walker comes to the plate with Altuve on second base and 1 out. He talked about making sure you always punch using these 2 knuckles here, your first 2 big knuckles, because these are not connected to any solid bones. They're very easy to break. Here's the next pitch. Swing and a miss. 95 at the top of the zone. Strike 1. Yeah, you're right. That's why whenever these guys get hit on the hands, I'm always worried because you got some brittle bones in there. Here comes the next pitch to Walker. He fouls it off. The 95-mile-per-hour fastball. 0-2 is the count. Gregory, 1 more inning. If you're talking about gusto, I don't think so. I'm going to say no because he's right at 90 pitches. I'm going to say probably no. Because I don't think he can really go 100 pitches. I think he's done. That's my guess. Maybe Sousa, but Sousa worked a little bit yesterday. In the dirt, Altuve goes to third. He's able to get there. Good heads up by Altuve. That ball was in the dirt and didn't go very far. Mills was able to get to it pretty quickly, but Altuve was right on top of it. Look at this. Just no throw there. Man, Altuve reading these pitches. Man, awesome base running. Is he going to score? Is he going to steal home? Here's the pitch to Walker in the dirt. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Man, Altuve doesn't need anybody's help this game. He's doing it all himself. Getting the hits, stealing the bases, scoring the runs. He's doing everything. Superman, baby. Here's the 2-2 pitch. Oh, he got hit again. That ball went into the dirt and hit Walker after. It was such a wild pitch that it hit Walker after it went in the dirt. Ouch. Where did it hit him at? Ow, right inside that back knee. Wow. Walker runs to first base. He seems to be okay. They're not checking on him. Cam Smith comes to the plate with runners on the corners and 1 out. Here's the pitch. 96 miles an hour on the inside corner. Cam Smith could just bunt the ball here and score a run. He could. Just saying. 0-1 is the count. Here comes the 0-1 pitch from Geaux. Whoa, high and inside. He brushes Cam back a little bit. More face hunting, Gregory. Yes, you're right, Robert. We would not be having these conversations at all if our team were even moderately healthy. Yeah, Cease does have a lot of strikeouts and a lot of swing and miss, but if you look at the rest of his stats and his results, he's not worth it. He's too expensive. He's definitely not worth it. Here's a pitch. Right in the bottom of the zone for strike two. 1-2 to Cam Smith. I just want better value for the money. Like I said, whether it's a bat or a pitcher, I want somebody to come in who's going to be better than mid. We have to have better than mid, and I don't think that Cease is pitching better than mid right now. Here's the pitch. High and inside. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Cam Smith at the plate with the runners on the corners. 1 out. Altuve is indeed torturing Gore. That's right, Shrewdly. No on Correa, maybe on Springer. Really? That's interesting. Here's the pitch. The 2-2 outside. Good take by Smith. Full count. Gore now up to 84 pitches. The Batman on deck with runners on the corners. Here comes the full count pitch to Cam. He fouls it off at the plate, stays alive. That was off his foot. Cam walking off that foul ball. Fouled it off his front leg. Luckily it was off the guard, but still looked like it hurt a little bit. I'll tell you what, Robert, Altuve has definitely improved his base running this game. He's leveled up big time. You're right, Alan. We just need to get healthy, and we're getting there. We're more healthy now, I think, than we are injured. Strike 3 by Cam Smith. Are you kidding me? What in the world is Christian Walker doing? Speaking of base running, that was the worst base running I think I've ever seen. Cam Smith strikes out, and Christian Walker was running to second base, and he just stopped. And then he tried to continue, but by the time he started to run again, they threw him out at second base. Christian Walker, what are you doing? They didn't show a replay, but guys, let me tell you again what just happened. There was only 1 out, runners on the corners, Christian Walker at first base. Cam Smith had the full count. He struck out, but Christian Walker was running. He was running on the pitch. And when Cam struck out, Walker was going to make it to second base. But for some reason, when Cam Smith struck out, he stopped running. And then he realized, oh crap, and then he tried to run again, but by that time, the catcher was able to throw it to second base and they tagged him out. What in the world? It can't be a jinx. When I was talking about Altuve, that was not Altuve, that was Christian Walker. I didn't say anything about Christian Walker's base running. I was talking about Jose Altuve. Altuve was owning it. Yeah, Jay, I think that's what he thought. But that's... You are a major league player. You can't be on the base pads and be thinking it's 2 outs right now when it's only 1 out. You have to know how many outs there are. That is so amateur. That is such an amateur mistake to not know how many outs there are. And by the way, guys, guess what? They're going to put Gusto back out on the mound for the top of the 6th. How about that? First pitch on the way. Right in the bottom of the zone on the curveball for strike 1. He is facing C.J. Abrams. Hector Neris is going in the bullpen for the Stros right now. Here comes the 0-1 pitch. 93 on the inside edge. Strike 2. 0-2 to Mr. Abrams. Here comes the next pitch. High and outside, ball 1. That was a kind of a brain dead, a brain fart, I guess you could say, Juan. A brain fart move. Here comes the 1-2 pitch. Low and inside in the dirt. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Abrams. Abrams hasn't swung at anything. If you give him a really nice curveball, low and inside, he'll swing at that. And gave him a fastball instead, up and in. He swung at it and missed. That's strike 3. 4 strikeouts for Gusto, out number 1 here in the 6th. Nice. Sup, John? Good to see you. Yeah, they keep telling us they're doling out the information about Paredes, but they're saying it's much worse than we thought. They keep saying that every time. It's like, well, it's much worse than we thought. Well, you said that last time, so does it keep getting worse or what? Strike 1 to James Wood. Here comes the next pitch. Ooh, strike 2. Nice curveball in the bottom of the zone. Gusto getting serious right here. He wants to go out with a bang. Here comes the 0-2 pitch. Wood swings at that one, and he gets an opposite field hit. Just a little poke on an 0-2 count. That's not how you do it, Gusto. The pitch was okay. It was just in a bad spot. Fastball right down the middle. Terrible placement, that's all. I don't mind the fastball, but I kind of think that with an 0-2 count, you could have thrown a curveball there. Just my thought. They're calling the bullpen. See how Neris is feeling. Here's a pitch. Luis Garcia at the plate, fouls it back for strike 1. We have a runner on first in the top of the 6th with 1 out and 1 strike to Garcia Jr. Brendan, you're wrong about that. The base running today has been good, except for that one mistake. Actually, the base running, especially for Altuve, has been opposite. It's been stellar. Stellar base running. Altuve was really heads up that inning, and then Walker blew it. He just threw water all over that fire. He doused it. Here's a 0-1. Fouled in the air and out of play. 0-2. Yeah, Crispy, I'd like them to get some more runs too. We haven't scored since the 2nd. This was hit just foul to the left side. Out of play. Count remains 0-2. Yeah, if the Astros get 4 runs in the first 2 innings, it's disappointing if they can't get any more on the board in the rest of the game. That's no good. This is ground ball to the right side. Caratini goes to the second base. Goes to second base for the out. Can't get the double play, though. But that is out number 2. Caratini does get the lead base runner. Good play by the Batman. Nice stop. Good throw. Get that lead runner. Two away, runner on first. That brings up Josh Bell. Low and inside. Strike 1. Starting everybody off with a strike this inning. Shrewdly, that's funny. Walker can't count to 3 unless it strikes. Here's a pitch. High and outside, 1-1 to Bell. Power arm. Well, that's one thing about the pitchers. Generally we're able to work with them and improve them. For some reason, the pitchers that we get from outside that were not with us before, we haven't had really good luck with pitchers coming back, though, right? Usually when pitchers come back, they're just so-so. But getting new pitchers we haven't had before, they seem to do all right. Here's the 1-2 from Gusto. Bell goes after it, a half swing, strike 3. Gusto finishes him off. 102 pitches. 102 pitches for Gusto today. And he ends his day with a strikeout. How about that, guys? 6 innings. They gave him the opportunity to come out and finish 6. He was able to do it. 4 hits and 1 run. I applaud you, Ryan Gusto. Gusto looking better than Hunter Brown right now. Obviously, we can't have Gusto perform like this every single time he's out there. But what an important performance today. This is what we need our guys to do. Even when we play a team like the Nationals, we play a so-so team or a not-so-so team, they need to be locked down. They need to be on their game. And Gusto was on his game today. And now we need the same thing from Neris. Absolutely. The Lion, welcome in. Yes, what an effort by Gusto indeed. You're right. Yeah, you're right, Jay. 2 innings in a row, runner at third, less than 2 outs. At least one of those has to score. Yeah, if we had a 50% rate on that, that would be a huge improvement. A little Bagwell action at first, Greg. You're talking about Caratini. Yeah, that was a good play. Michael, why would you let Gusto start the 7th if he's over 100 pitches? You don't want to blow his arm out. And we've got plenty of relievers to go 7, 8, 9. Caratini's at the plate. The first pitch, the curveball is in there. Geaux is still in the game. He's at 87 pitches now. Batman at the plate. Fouls that one off. 0-2. You're right, Crispy. And the thing is, it's not that I didn't believe in him to pitch another inning. I just felt like maybe because of the pitch count, he might be a little tired, and maybe he would need to take a break. Speaking of taking a break, the catcher runs all the way out there, hits the pitcher on the butt, and then goes back behind the plate. What was that about? Just a little manly love going on there? I don't know, something like that. Here's the next pitch to Caratini. Ground ball straight to the third baseman. That's another ground ball. 3 in a row from the Batman. He was grounding the ball like crazy today. 0 for 3. Dubon is at the plate now, facing Geaux, who's at 89 pitches. The Nats do have a reliever going in the bullpen. Cole Henry. Here's a pitch. Dubon goes after the first pitch. A little high. Fouls it away for strike 1. Here's the next pitch. Hey, punch shot up the middle. 5-game hitting streak for Dubon. Woohoo! We have a 1-out base runner. Yeah, Michael, I see what you're saying. Sometimes pitcher gets into a rhythm. But the other thing is, since he's over 100 pitches, and Gusto isn't known for going far over that, I would take him out just because I'm wanting to conserve his arm. I don't want to tire him out. Cooper Hummel at the plate. That one's fouled off for strike 1. If Gusto were the type of pitcher who could regularly pitch over 100 pitches and he said he wanted to stay in, he felt good, I'd let him, but I don't think that's the case. Here's the pitch. A little high. 1-1. Hummel's 0 for 2 today, but he had a big hit yesterday. Today he's batting righty. Can he duplicate what he did yesterday? 93 up and in, fouled off for strike 2. 1-2 is the count, with 1 runner on and 1 out. Brendan Donovan. Here's a 1-2 pitch. A little high. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Good eye by Hummel there. Let me take a look at those stats. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Here's the toss to Hummel. Woo! High and outside. Right close to that corner. Umpire didn't like it. I think it was a good call. It was a good pitch. Full count. Hummel takes a timeout. Decent amount of RBIs, 285 batting average, OPS 773. Yeah, I'd take that, Brendan Donovan. This is hit hard to left field all the way out to the wall. It's gone. A line drive home run on a 3-2 count. How about that? Cooper Hummel, another Hummel homer, baby. I said earlier I wanted to see another Hummel homer, and there we go. A 2-run shot. He drives in Doobie. 6-1. Boom, baby. Line drive shot straight to the Crawford boxes, and he throws the bat down immediately. That was a line drive shot. Boom, right into the back of the boxes. You know what's really funny about that? Gore is angry about that. He's saying some things to the umpire because he thinks that he had that strikeout. Be quiet, you baby. Be quiet, you baby. That was a lot more ball than strike. Actually, that was a good call by the umpire. It was a really good call by the umpire. If I were a batter and I was called strike 3 on that, I'd be upset about that. 8 hits for the Astros, baby, in 6 innings. It's 6-1. We got a pitching change going on. Looks like Henry's going to be coming in the game. Go freaking Stros. Winning cures everything. That's right. Actually, maybe that's... As the Astros win more, they go into the playoffs, they win the World Series. I go to the doctor, and he's going to say, hey, you don't have a tumor anymore. What happened? He said, I don't know, but whenever we put you through the CT scan, the tumor's not there, and your kidney appears to be nice and healthy, but there's something interesting. It says, go Stros on your kidney. That's what's going to happen. Wouldn't that be amazing? It's a miracle, a Christmas miracle. Well, it wouldn't be quite Christmas. An early Christmas miracle. Yeah, you're right. You're right, DeLion. It is a good sign for Gusto to be working his stuff out right now. We need him right now. Right now is the main time we need Gusto to be on. Hummel pummels for sure. Koopy. Here's the first pitch to Chas McCormick, who hits it high in the air again. Man, McCormick can't stop hitting it high in the air. The shortstop puts it away. The very first pitch for out number 2. Cole Henry is at the, or on the rubber rather. Here's a pitch. A little outside. Ball 1 to Zach Short. Nobody on. Short has a single today and scored a run. Here comes the 1-0 pitch. A little high, 2-0. Let's go, Koopy. Koopy. Koopy Badoopy. Here's a 2-0 pitch. Check swing there, but it doesn't matter. It's in the zone. Strike 1 to Zach Short. 2-1 with 2 outs, nobody on. 6-1 is the lead for the Astros. Here's the pitch. Up and in, fouled off. The stinker. Here comes the 1-2, or 2-2 rather. Outside, full count. Yeah, Michael, I'd like for McCormick to have a little bit more plate discipline there. Look for a better pitch. Here comes the next toss. It's in the dirt. Zach Short walks. You see what happens? Zach Short showing McCormick how it's done, right? Swinging at the balls in the zone, taking the pitches out of the zone, getting a walk. Guess who comes to the plate? Jose Altuve. Is he going to have a 4-hit game? 3 for 3 today with 2 singles and a homer. Couple of stolen bases, too. 40 career 4-hit games. Here's the first pitch. He goes after it, and he hits it to the left side. It's going to be another base hit. It gets through in the very first play. Short is around a third. 4 for 4. Altuve, if he bats again later on, if they don't pull him out, he's going to have an opportunity for a 5-hit game, guys. He ripped it right between the shortstop and the third baseman. They couldn't quite get to it. Altuve leading all Astros with 4-hit games. He's got 41. How about that? Man, when you've got guys like Biggio and Bagwell that played for the Astros and Altuve's leading in 4-hit games, that's amazing. Yainer Diaz crushes it to left field all the way out. This ball is gone. Way gone. Way gone. A 2-run shot for Yainer Diaz. He had a homer yesterday to opposite field, and today he launches it into the Crawford boxes, over the Crawford boxes, into the back, into the wall. 9-1. 9-1. Boom, baby. Cole Henry gives it up, the high fastball. No, it was a cutter. A high cutter, 410 feet. Did it get up to the railroad tracks? Looks like it did. Walker is at the plate, swings at that first pitch, fouls it off. Strike 1. This is the offense I've been waiting to see right here. 9-1 Astros. We are gonna win this series, baby. 5 runs this inning. The Astros have come alive. The good thing is that we knocked out the starting pitcher, and we have continued to hit against the reliever. Man, 0-1 pitch to Walker coming up in just a moment from Cole Henry. Here it is. 96 right in the zone. He fouls it off. 0-2. Yainer with the shiner, baby. He gave him a shiner. Pow! Altuve, 4-hit day. including a 3-run shot. Yiner with a 2-run shot right there. Here's a pitch to Walker outside and low. 1-2 is the count. When it rains, it pours. Right now, some heavy rain in Daikin Park. Nationals are going to have to leave this park with their tail between their legs. Walker hits this one straight up in the air on the infield. Should be played by the first baseman, and it is. That's out number 3. But not before we get a couple of bombs. Cooper Hummel knocks the starter out of the game. Yiner taking the reliever deep. All the way up to the train tracks, 410 feet. 9-1 Astros. Holy freaking cow. Me likey. That's also the kind of swingy that Tommy likey. Tommy likey. Tommy wants swingy. Tommy want home run. You get it, buddy. You get 2 of them. Actually, with all 2 bases, you get 3 of them. How about that? The Astros getting singles, getting doubles, getting homers. Man, not much more you could ask for today from the offense. 10 hits and 9 runs. Look at that production. 4 hits given up by Gusto in 6 innings and 1 hit. I'm sorry, 4 hits and 1 run. 2 errors by the Nationals that have helped the Astros a little bit, but they didn't even need those errors. Good day for the Stros. Hey, DeLion, yet that's right. You know, it's funny because in the chat yesterday, I saw so many people hating on Yiner Diaz, even though Yiner had a good day yesterday. And I didn't know why everybody was hating on Yiner, because when you look at his stats over the past 30 days, the past couple of weeks, the past week, what you'll notice is he's been getting better and better and better and better. So his batting average improved in the last 30 days. It's improved even more in the last 2 weeks, and even more in the last week. And with today, it's going to improve even more. That's why his OPS is where it's at. So I don't understand why people are talking about trading. That's one of the reasons why that's one of the many reasons why I made the video that I made. For those of you who haven't seen my video that I posted today, I made a video about the fans being on the injured list. Neris is on the mound. First pitch is in there for strike 1. He is facing Nathaniel Lowe here in the top of the 7th. Here's the next pitch. Grounded to first base. Caratini grabs it. Another sliding catch. He throws it to Neris, who covers first base and gets the out. Good play there by Neris to cover the bag and went away. I see so many negative, useless, I don't want to say stupid, but I will say this, thoughtless comments like that. When people are bashing Yiner Diaz and talking about trading him away, why on earth would we do that? Makes 0 sense to trade away Yiner Diaz. Makes 0 sense. Next batter is Paul DeJong, swing and a miss. Strike 1. 83-mile-per-hour splitter. That's why I said that some of the Astros fans are on the injured list, because they've forgotten how to be fans, or just not being good fans right now. 1-1. Obviously, I'm not talking about everybody. I'm just talking about the negative people. Here's the pitch. Fouled off. 1-2. If you have a chance to go see the video, it's only about 3.5, 4 minutes long or so. So I'd appreciate you guys checking it out. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Here comes a pitch from Neris. Oh, barely misses on the outside. Just a tad outside. I mean, just less than a centimeter off the plate. 2-2 to DeJong. Here comes the pitch. There we go. Strike 3. That was definitely in the zone. Strike 3. Neris picks up a K, and that's 2 away. Next batter is Dalen Lyle. Just a little above the zone, ball one. For those of you who have not seen my video, there's a link to it. You can check it out when you have a few minutes. Here's the pitch. Low, swing and a miss. Nice pitch, 1-1 on that splitter. Got him swinging. Nobody on, 2 outs for Neris. Yep, Michael, this is an old-fashioned butt kicking. In the dirt outside. Check swing, they say he did not go. 2-1. Cooking with grease now. Cooking with grease. Not gas, but just grease. Here's the 2-1. Woo! Just barely misses on the outside edge, man. Once again, maybe 1 or 2 centimeters outside the zone there. 3 balls and 1 strike. Here comes the toss. You got it, Neris. Oh, it's too low. I guess you don't got it. That's a walk. A 2-out walk. Dalen Lyle gets on base. You know, it's possible that if Neris can get this guy really quick, they will see him again in the 8th inning, you know. It's possible. Drew Millis at the plate with the runner on first, 2 away. First pitch is low. Ball 1. If Neris struggles a little bit with his control, starting from now, then we won't see him in the 8th. But if he can get him quick, we'll see him in the 8th, I think. 93 on the inside, fouled off for strike 1. 1-1 is the count. Hey, old dog, good to see you. Yeah, just barely. We just couldn't get any hits, right? Just couldn't hit the ball. Here's a pitch. Right field, that's going to be down for a hit, a single. The throw comes into third. Cam fires it all the way over to third base, but it was unnecessary. So a walk and a single given up by Neris. With 2 outs, we have 2 runners on. Diaz is going to come out to the mound, have a short chit-chat with Neris. Thank you for watching it, DeLion. Thank you. Yeah, Michael, sometimes there are some coaching errors, and I agree with you. I didn't agree with the coaching. I'm glad to see other people say that whenever I point it out, because I feel like I even said in the live stream the same thing. Bad coaching decisions. A little outside. Ball 1 to Jacob Young. Young at the plate with 2 outs, 2 runners on, first and second. Here in the top of the 7th. Here's the pitch. Swing and a miss. Nice splitter. 1-1. Trade one of our good hitters? A good hitter? Like who? I don't think we'd be able to trade any good hitters to get Correa. We'd have to give up a lot of other players. Instead of one good hitter, we can't afford that, but we can afford to give up several other players. 2 balls and 1 strike to Jacob Young. Here's the pitch. This is hit out to center field to Chas McCormick. Should be playable, and it is. Young goes down on a fly ball. Hector Neris gets out of it after a walk. He got 2 outs, gave up a walk, gave up a hit, and then got out of it. It's anyone's guess if he comes back out in the next inning. We'll see. But for now, we go into the bottom of the 7th. The Astros up 9-1, guys. That's right. Oh, yeah. You're absolutely right, Michael. You're right. On the fly ball to right field. 100%. 100%. Somebody was giving Trammell some grief, but that's not Trammell's fault. That's the coaching fault. You're 100% right. Thank you for saying that. I love it when my opinion is Supported. It makes me feel nice when I point out something and everybody else is talking about Trammell, 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 and I'm like, no, 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 that's coaching. That's coaching. It was a coaching decision. We are in a break. We'll be right back in the bottom of the seventh. It is the seventh inning stretch, so I'm going to get up, get rid of some liquid, if you understand what that means, and I'll be right back. Go freaking Stros. Well, it looks like Pilkington is in the game. 1-0 is the count to Cam Smith. Cam Smith fouls that off. The count's even 1-0. I'm sorry, 1-1. Couldn't quite get back in time for the first pitch, but it's all good. 1-1 to Cam Smith. Here comes the toss from Pilkington. That sounds like a British cartoon character. That sounds like a question for Mr. Pilkington. Who is that? You don't know Mr. Connor Pilkington? Grandpa Pilkington lives at the end of the street. He knows everything about everyone around here. We can ask him anything. 3-1 to Cam Smith. There comes the pitch. 94 on the outside edge, fouled away, full count. Old dog says we should have traded Tony Perez Chica like yesterday. Oh, man. Go, go, go. Stop. I mean, go. I mean, I don't know. Oh, just below the zone called strike three. Cam Smith thought that was a walk for sure. He doesn't understand what just happened. You were robbed there, Cam. That was definitely too low to be called a strike. One away here in the bottom of the seventh. The Batman comes to the plate. 3 ground outs today. Let's see if he can do something a little special here. Besides take a strike on the outside edge like that. 0-1 on the 96 mile per hour. 96 mile per hour fastball. 2 fielders' choices and a ground out to third base. Here comes the next pitch to Caratini. A little high, ball 1, 1-1. Hunter Brown, Colton Gordon, Framber Valdez are due up for the Red Sox series. Brown, Gordon, Valdez. I think we can sweep it, baby. Gordon's going to have a good game. Hunter Brown and Framber are going to be the bookends. 2 balls and 1 strike to Caratini. 1 out, nobody on. Here's the 2-1. Outside, 3-1. Cam Smith and Caratini getting to the 3-1 count. Well, Crispy, you can't really blame him too much. That was not a good pitch to be calling a strike, though. That was a good take. Here's the pitch. 94 on the outside edge. Fouled off. Full count. Got another full count. I finished off my coffee, my cold coffee. Now I've got a little bit of sugar-free cola. Just have a few sips of this. See, I got several more comments in the chat. Here comes the full count pitch to the Batman. Oh, he goes down swinging. The Batman looking like the swing man there. Swing and miss man. Strike 3, 2 outs. Connor Pilkington looking better than the other reliever. Dubon at the plate with a walk and a single today. Here's the first pitch to Doobie. Whoa, in the dirt. That ball went crazy. 1-0. That's right, Robert. I'm definitely not talking about everybody, but some fans you just can't please. Here's a pitch. This is fouled off. 1-1. But here's something that, if you guys have never done live streaming like this, there are a couple of perspectives that I've been able to develop from doing the live streams and seeing the comments and seeing the live chats and even the other podcasts live chats. 96 up and in to Dubon. 2 balls and 1 strike. Steven Okert is warming up in the bullpen for the Astros right now. He'll be up in the 8th, it looks like. Here comes a pitch. Right in there. Man. 96 miles an hour. 2-2. But what I've seen is I see some names over and over and over again, the same people over and over again. Way outside and in the dirt. Full count. 3 full counts in a row by Pilkington. Dubon calls timeout. But the funny thing is, I'm not being picky when I tell somebody, stop being negative. When I tell somebody to stop being negative, it's because that's all they say. They don't say anything that's positive. And when they try to be positive, it's a backhanded compliment. Here's the next pitch. Dubon hits this one out into center field all the way out and caught by the center fielder there on the run. A nice drive, though, by Dubon. He got behind it. Just not quite good enough, and that's out number 3. We go into the top of the 8th. The Astros up 9-1 over the Nationals. They are swatting the gnats today, baby. Swatting the gnats. But I could literally name drop about 10 different people that I can think of just off the top of my head that show up into my chat sometimes. A couple of those have been here today, actually. But I've noticed that they don't tend to spend too much time here anymore. They used to hang out a lot, but I kept putting them in timeout. That's something I've been doing kind of. Sometimes I mention it. I say, enjoy your timeout, just for fun. I say, enjoy your timeout. And of course, sometimes I use the really short timeout as more of a joke than anything, you know, like a kind of like a little tap on the hand. But there are some guys, they come in here and they just comment. Oh my God, here we go again, right? The Astros give up a run in the first inning. Oh my God, here we go again. It's going to be another one of those games. We can't get to the playoffs like this. There's no way we have a chance to go to the World Series. They need to sell this guy. They need to get rid of this guy. This pitcher is a joke. And I'm not kidding. Their comments are just like that. And if I tell them, I'm warning you, stop. Stop being so negative. Stop dumping that stuff into my chat. This is my chat. I'm responsible for protecting this chat and this channel, this community. And then when they try to say something positive, it comes out as a backhanded compliment. They try, but they can't even say something positive when they try. It's because of their mindset. Their mindset is broken. They have chosen to live a life of negativity. It's not just with the Astros, it's with everything. I don't need to know those people. I know everything about them just by the way they talk about the Astros. And I've seen a few people in here, just a few people, but they tend to not last very long. In the bottom of the zone, but called a ball, the first pitch from Stephen Okert. I forgot to change the pitcher. I forgot to change it to Naris. Now I'm going to have to change it to Okert. That's in there on the outside edge for strike one. 1-1 is the count to C.J. Abrams. But anyway, I wanted to tell you guys that because if you go to these other channels like the Locked On live feeds, after the game, that's a strike, 1 and 2 to Abrams. If you go to Locked On Astros, they have a postcast, right? And then they have a live show after, right? They have 2 different shows after the Astros games. Here's the next pitch. Low and outside, 2 and 2. And this is just one example, but there are other Astros podcasts and channels that do videos and live streams, right? Here's the next pitch, the 2-2. This is hit into the air in left field. That's carrying all the way out to the wall. Ches gets it right at the wall. How about that? That ball just kept floating and floating and floating. It didn't look like it was hit very hard. Just kind of looked like I poked the bat out there. But Chaz was able to get all the way out to the wall in time, get set up and grab it. Good play. Out number 1. James Wood comes to the plate with the 1 away, nobody on. But if you go look at the live stream chats and you look at the comments section, you see a lot of horrible comments. Want to know. And these are people that claim to be fans, Astros fans. And I know that they think they are. But they're just living in horrible states of mind. Tapped foul down the first baseline. 1-1 to James Wood. And just as a live streamer and seeing thousands and thousands of comments basically every single day, it makes me feel a little sad that we have too many people saying thoughtless things, uninformed, thoughtless, negative, and sometimes hateful things about the Astros, the players, the management, the coaches, and even other Astros fans. Fouled off. 2 and 2 is the count. I mean, I've made comments, just like we all have. Sometimes we put our comments online or in the chat section, and then we're immediately attacked and called stupid or something like that. What good is that? That's no good. Here's the pitch, the 2-2. Swing and a miss. Strike 3. A little fried Okert served up. Good job, Mr. Okert. 2 down. Nobody on here in the top of the 8th. Basically, after seeing all that stuff, that's why I decided to make the video that I made and posted earlier. Here's the pitch. First pitch to Luis Garcia Jr. is fouled off. Strike 1. Most home runs by a catcher. Diaz isn't very far behind, actually. Swing and a miss. Strike 2. Man, Alan Ashby is number 2. I haven't heard that name in a long time. Zach Brisky is warming up in the bullpen for the Nats. Here's the 0-2 pitch in the dirt. 1 and 2. Michael, it's more than just cynical. It's borderline hateful. Pathologically negative. Strike three, baby. Fried okert is served. Steaming hot, fresh fried okert has been served. Whether you want it or not, that's what you get. The top of the eighth is over. The Nats with 5 hits and 1 run through 8 innings and 2 errors. The Astros have them locked down. We go into the bottom of the eighth. One more opportunity for the Astros to get to double digits. And guess what? The tram is due up. That's right. Taylor Trammell is in for Cooper Hummel in the 7th slot. McCormick on deck. Zach Short in the hole, baby. Let's see if the tram is going to leave the building today so we can get that double-digit amount of runs. Crispy, I disagree with you. That pitch to me was not in the strike zone. We'll just have to agree to disagree. That was too far below the zone. Maybe it had less than a centimeter of the zone. I think that was a terrible pitch to be calling a strike. If you actually look at where his knees were, Cam is a tall guy, and if you look at where his knees are and you look at where that ball was, there's no way that was a strike. If you're just looking at the box that's on the screen instead of looking at his knees, then you'll see that that was not a strike. Or then you might not see it if you're just looking at the box. Bregman hurt again? Brendan, really? Is he not going to be playing against the Astros? That's going to be a shame. Yeah, old dog. That's the thing, old dog. You're right. It's like, are you a troll or are you an Astros fan? You can't be both. If you're going to troll, you need to troll the other teams. You don't troll your own team. How can you troll your own team? And for people to say, I can't stand the Astros this year because they're not even trying. What kind of a comment is that? Of course they're trying. It's such a blanket, stupid comment to make. 96 miles an hour, swing and a miss. The tram is facing a new pitcher. On the mound, Zach Brisky. Zach Brixey. A little high and outside for ball one. Here comes the 1-1. This is hit out into left field. Is it going to get down? Whoa, barely caught on the run by James Wood. Man. He looked a little too casual, kind of jogging to get that one. He barely got it. Kind of lazy play there, it looked like. Chas McCormick comes to the plate. 0 for 3 today. It'd be nice for him to at least get a hit here. Turn it around. Here comes the first pitch. Inside, 88-mile-per-hour curveball, strike one. Somebody's going to have to get on in order for Altuve to have a chance to go 5 for 5 today. Here's the next pitch. The 0-1. 85 in the bottom of the zone, strike two. McCormick takes 2 pitches in a row. So earlier, the reliever comes in. McCormick goes after the first pitch, flies out. Here, he takes the first 2 pitches on the new reliever. Strike, strike. Here comes the 0-2 pitch. Little high and outside. Luis Contreras in the Bullpen for the Astros. Looks like he's going to have the call for the 9th inning. 1-2 strikes to McCormick with 1 out, nobody on. Here's the pitch. He hits that one way out to the right field side, out of play. Count remains 1-2. Yes, old dog, thank you very much. Please like the live stream. 75 people following along and 58 likes. The ratio isn't bad, but I think we can jack it up over 60 easily. Easily. And if you have not subscribed and you're an Astros fan, what are you waiting for? What are you waiting for, my child? Here comes the pitch. In the dirt, 2-2. Digging up the soil there. Zach going gardening. Yeah, you're right, Robert. It's not just in the chat. It's going to be every aspect of their lives. And I want people to get out of that state. Here's the 2-2 pitch. 96 right in the middle of the zone. Chaz swings and misses. Can't get the bat on it. All right, Zach Short, you're our final hope. Altuve, they're showing his 4-hit game today. Zach Short at the plate. And by the way, Altuve is on deck. So if he gets a chance, they're going to let him bat this time. A spot is not going to pull him out. 1-0 is the count to Zach Short. Here comes the pitch. Too far inside, 2-0. If anybody can get a walk, it's Zach Short. He's already got one today. A single. The announcers are saying he should have leaned into that to get on base. Here's the pitch. A little high, but just that was a little high, but the umpire does like it up there. He's been calling that pretty consistently. Strike one strike. 2-1 is the count. Here comes the next toss to short. Oh man, below the zone, swing and a miss. 2-2. Is Altuve gonna get a chance to go 5 for 5? He's waiting over there. He's like, come on, Short. Help me out. Here comes the 2-2 from Zach Brzezinski or whatever. Low and inside. 3-2. He could bunt for a hit, but I wouldn't right here. Not with 2 strikes. Full count pitch. Here it comes. He flies it up in the air. It looks like Altuve is not going to get his opportunity. He flies out to second base. Altuve heads back to the dugout. He's smiling, laughing at it. He's like, "It's okay. I was gonna try. The world may never know." Altuve a 5-hit game. That'd be awesome. But the Astros bats go cool. Unfortunately, if you think about that, how terrible is that? They went cold in the 7th and the 8th inning. We only needed one extra guy to get on base, just one, and Altuve could have had that at bat here in the 8th inning, but they just couldn't do it. They just couldn't do it. Sad face. Sad face. Top of the 9th coming up, and it looks like we're going to have Contreras on the mound for the Astros. I got a funny image for Contreras. There we go. I'm going to be slowly updating my picture portraits. I'm going to come up with some new ones. Because my original portraits are not bad, but they're not as dynamic and colorful and funny as some of the new ones. Like the one I got for Hector Neris is very powerful and good. This one for Contreras is hilarious. I kind of like this style. Yep, you're right, Brendan. Altuve and Yiner, especially Altuve, they usually destroy and own the Red Sox. The Green Monster is non-existent for Altuve. He just goes right over it like it's nothing. Yeah, and Alan, it's funny that you say that. Altuve has had some opportunities where he could have gone for 5 and Espada pulled him out. So I'm kind of confused about that. Why not give him every opportunity? He's not going to be around forever, you know. Yeah, he did to Lion, but they pulled. I think that's the game they pulled him out. They pulled in a pinch hitter. He didn't even bat. Josh Bell at the plate facing Contreras. First pitch is a ball. Here comes the next pitch. Grounded foul down the first baseline. 1-1 is the count. Ninth inning. It's the beginning of the end for the Nats. Let's squash them. Yeah, you're right, Shrewdly. There are so many little things that could have gone slightly differently that would have put Altuve at the plate. Another ball, 2-1. This is another guy that I have a lot of expectations for. And that is Contreras, Luis Contreras. 2 balls and 2 strikes in that foul ball. I believe you, Crispy. I think he's going to get it. I know he's going to get it. He's going to have a stellar second half of the season. I believe this is going to wind up being a really wonderful season for Altuve. He's going to pull this team along and turn them into something great. We get our guys back. It's going to be amazing. We're going to be clicking on all cylinders. But not like that. Ball 4. A 3-2 walk to Josh Bell. Nathaniel Lowe comes to the plate with no outs, runner on first. There comes the first pitch to Lowe, swing and a miss, strike 1. It's pretty interesting. They did a poll. Which of these deadline trades was the best ever? One of those was for Bagwell, one of those was for Verlander, and one was for Jordan. I think it's recency bias because most people voted for Jordan. I'm kind of amazed. Really? Jordan over Bagwell and Verlander? Not so sure about that. I'd put Jordan third on that list. Strike number 2 to Lowe. 0-2's the count. Here comes the pitch from Contreras. He sends the elevator all the way to the top floor, but nobody's there. 1 ball and 2 strikes. I think he might have more than 41. He's got the most in Astros history, I believe. 47 maybe? Another one out of the zone. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Nathaniel Lowe strikes out. The first strikeout for Contreras and the first out of the inning. Yeah, this is what they were talking about with Bagwell, Jordan, or Alvarez rather, and Verlander. And they did this poll, and most people think that the best trade of those was Jordan. I disagree. I highly disagree. Getting Verlander in 2017 was better. Getting Bagwell in 1990 from Boston was better. That's my opinion. You guys agree? Swing and a miss below the zone. Nice toss. 1-1 is the count to Paul DeJong. Runner on first with 1 out, 1 ball, 1 strike. 1-1-1-1. Here's the pitch. A little outside. That was not a bad Swiffer. He didn't go after it. 2 balls and 1 strike. Here comes a 2-1 pitch. Ooh, just a little high. Contreras is not missing by much. 3-1 though. Yeah, you're right, Alan. It's recency bias is what it is. They don't know, like, who's Bagwell? Who's oh, that old guy? That old pitcher we got rid of recently? That guy? No. That's what they're thinking. Fouled off. We've got another full count. What a great game today, wasn't it? What a great series. Game 1 was a terrible start, but man, the Astros played a great baseball game yesterday, and today was even better. Just an improvement. Up and in, another walk. Contreras hasn't missed the zone by much, but it has cost him 2 walks. 1 out. Diaz is going to stroll out to them. He looks annoyed. He's like, man, why don't I have to come out here? Come on. You know, I told you I didn't want to have to walk out here. It's the 9th inning, bro. I want to get to tacos arandas. Taqueros arandas. Shrewdly says Bagwell, Verlander, Alvarez. Yep, I'd agree with you. That's the way I would rank them. I'd put Bagwell first. Yeah, we did get Verlander twice, but the second time was just, you know, so-so deal. First time was really important. Post Malone. Here's the first pitch to Dalen Lyle. That's in there for strike 1. Runners on first and second with 1 out. Luis Contreras dealing his 19th pitch of the game in just a moment. 0-1 is the count. Here's the toss. Low and inside, ball 1. The count's even. Yeah, you're right. Biggio was definitely the heart, but he wasn't a trade deadline guy. That's why they didn't mention him in the poll. Here's the next pitch in the dirt. 2 balls and 1 strike. Bagpipes was an excellent field. Bagpipes. Baggy pants. Yeah, you're right. Alvarez is the epitome of just enough in the outfield, right? Out in left field. 89 miles an hour, up and out. 3-1. Man, Contreras having a little difficulty getting them strikes. Here comes the 3-1. Swing and a miss, 3-2. Good pitch on the inside with that fastball. Caleb Ort is now warming up the bullpen. He probably didn't expect to have to warm up, but if Contreras gets another guy on base, may have to look at another reliever to shut this down. Here comes the pitch. This is hit high into left field. Shallow. Trammell comes over. The Tram puts it away, no problem. Out number 2. So runners remain on first and second. Drew Millis second comes to the plate. Yeah, he does, Michael. He's trying. Contreras is trying to get it together. Contreras emoji? Oh, you mean the avatar. I was about to say, I don't have a Contreras emoji. I got a Fromber emoji. But I see you're talking about the avatar on the screen. 1-0 pitch. Way high. 2-0 to Millis. More balls coming from Contreras. Man, he's up to 25 pitches now here in the 9th. 25 pitches, still hasn't given up a run. Let's hope it stays that way. 2 outs, 2 balls, no strikes. Here comes the pitch. Right in there, 86 miles an hour. Kind of felt like Millis isn't going to swing, or wasn't going to swing until he saw strike. Can't blame him. 2-1 is the count. Travis, 100%. I agree. Here's a pitch. Low and inside. Ball 3. 3-1. Travis says, if anything, fans, the Astros fans, should be wildly impressed with how well they've done, all things considered. 1,000% agree. Absolutely. Here's the pitch. Right in there. 88 miles an hour on the four-seam fastball. Seems here that Millis is determined to get a walk. He's seen Contreras throw so many balls. He thinks, oh, I can just stand here and get a walk. Let's see what happens. This modest crowd stands up on their feet looking for the strikeout. Here comes the full count pitch with 2 outs. Ground ball to second base. Altuve, of course, finishes it off for the Astros. 9-1. 4 for 4 Altuve is today. Contreras finally shuts it down. That's the end of the game. And my hero. Good game for the Astros today. The fireworks go off in Daikin Park. And as always, we're going to take a look. Ouch, that hurt. I've got a blister from doing sledgehammer work yesterday. If you're wondering why I'm doing sledgehammer work, it's foundation repair around my house. I have to break up a lot of old concrete. But as always, what I was trying to say is, let's do a quick game recap, a scoring recap of this game, and then a preview of tomorrow's game. Unless there's a break. Is there a break tomorrow? Let me pull up the schedule. My bad. Let me pull up the schedule. Can't remember if we go straight to Boston or if there's a break. No, we have a break. That's right. We have a break tomorrow. That's good. So that's nice. We will come back on August 1st. For me, it's August 2nd. But for you guys and gals, if you're in the U.S., it's August 1st. We have an away game starting, away series starting in Boston. And unfortunately, that first game is on Apple TV. Bleh. So I have to reactivate my silly subscription. There are 2 games this month on Apple TV. So I'm going to have to reactivate that subscription just for these 2 games. But I will be here to live stream that series. Man, holy cow. Game 3 is going to be at 12:35 a.m. for me. Just past midnight. Are you kidding me? I don't think I've ever called a game starting at 12:35 a.m. Wow. But the game on the 1st starts at 8:10 a.m. my time. Game 2 starts at 5:10 a.m. my time. And then 12:35 a.m. Man, what a weird schedule. Hunter Brown is due up against the Red Sox for Game 1. And then Colton Gordon and Framber Valdez. But right now, let's take a look at the scoring summary. Yeah, it's a nice day off. We got the series win. Good job, Stros. Everybody did such a great job today. I'm so happy for Gusto. I really do believe in Gusto. I know he's had his moments of struggle, but today, man, let me share this with you right here. You can see it right here on the screen. Look at this performance. 6 innings pitched, just 4 hits, 1 run, 5 strikeouts, and 1 walk. He's now 7-4. Can you ask for anything more from a guy who's not one of our ace starters? Could you really ask for more? I mean, right now, this is what you expect. I mean, maybe if you look at this, this is what you would expect from Hunter Brown. The only exception is maybe there should be like 8 strikeouts or 9 strikeouts. But everything else would pretty much be the same, right? If you change the strikeouts, if you just increase the strikeouts, these numbers would look like Hunter Brown. But they're not. It's Ryan Gusto. Good job, Gusto. I was thinking about going to the cafe today and having breakfast because it's Cafe Gusto. In Japanese, it's pronounced the Spanish way, gusto. But they say gasto. So it's cafe gasto. But I was thinking about going there for breakfast today. I might not, simply because I need to conserve money. But in honor of gusto, maybe I will. Gord gets the loss. 8 hits and 6 earned runs in 5.1 innings. Let's take a look at the scoring summary. Very easy. First inning, Cam Smith, sacrifice fly. Altuve scores 1-0. Let me move this over so you can see it. I might need to zoom out. Let me zoom. Can you? Oh, you can't see the score. Let me zoom out there. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. Perfect. Okay. Top of the second, Lyle hit a sacrifice fly, scored Bell, tied the game 1-1. And the bottom of the second inning, Altuve homered to left field, 362 feet, baby. Scored Dubon and short, 4-1 Astros, and that's what gave the Astros the first big boost. In the bottom of the sixth, Hummel homered to left, 384 feet, scored Dubon. Dubon doing a good job today of getting on base and letting people score him, 6-1. And then again in the bottom of the sixth, Diaz homered to left center, 410 feet up on the railroad tracks, short, and Altuve scored, 9-1. Man, how about that? 3 big homers and a 4-hit day. 4 for 4 is Altuve. If you look at the hitting over here, the Astros hitting, let me move that over a little bit. There we go. Astros hitting. Altuve, leadoff batter today, back in the leadoff spot and at second base. 4 for 4, 3 runs scored, 1 home run, 3 RBIs. Batting average back up to 284. He's really coming on hot. July is always his month, right? Yainer Diaz 2 for 4 with a run scored, an RBI, or 3 RBIs and a home run. Christian Walker went 0 for 3 today. But everybody else kind of picked up the slack. Cam Smith had a sacrifice fly. He went 1 for 3 and had an RBI, of course. Caratini also cold today. He and Walker not really doing much. Couple of fielder's choices, ground out, fly out for Caratini. Dubon 1 for 3, 2 runs scored. Hummel 1 for 3 with a run, a homer, 2 RBIs. Trammell came in 1 time to pitch hit, 0 for 1. McCormick 0 for 4, also cold. Zach Short 1 for 3, 2 runs scored. So even though a couple of these guys like Dubon and Short, the main thing that they did was get on base and score. You look at that. Dubon got on and scored twice. Short got on and scored twice. Very important, because whenever our hitters were hitting the ball, we had guys on base. And this is what we need. We need this is the problem that the Astros have had this season, right? Scoring runners when they're on base, just stranding runners right and left. But you know what? Let me take a look at something. I can't show it on the screen because I'll get a copyright claim for showing it. But the MLB page shows the runners left on base. I am so proud of the Astros today because the Nationals had 15 runners left on base today. 15. The Astros only had 10. Now, left on base and runners stranded at the end of the inning, these are different numbers, remember? I always look at the left on base numbers because it means every opportunity the Astros had to get a hit or get a walk or make something happen when somebody was on base. And they only left runners on 10 times in the whole game. That's an average of barely 1 per inning. That is a huge improvement, especially considering how sometimes they're well over 20, sometimes close to 30 left on base in a game. That means that when they got guys on base, they were scoring them. Big deal for the Astros. Pitching side, We already went over Gusto. 6 innings pitched, 4 hits, 1 earned run, 1 walk, 5 strikeouts. 102 pitches, 70 strikes. He started off shaky, but man, he really came on and he was fire. Hector Neris started off good, got a little shaky, got out of it. 1 inning pitched, 1 hit, an earned run, a walk, and a strikeout. Stephen Okert came in, no problems. 1 inning pitched, no hits, no earned runs, no walks, 2 strikeouts. And then Contreras, really shaky, really shaky. 1 inning pitched in the 9th. Didn't give up any hits, but he gave up a couple of walks, managed to get 1 strikeout, and he found his way out of the inning. So, ultimately, despite the shakiness by Neris and Contreras, the Astros relievers got it done in 3 innings. No earned runs. That's the most important thing. Don't give up any freaking runs, and they didn't do it. How about that? How about that? Now, just a quick preview of the first game against Boston before we get out of here. Hunter Brown is scheduled to be on the mound for the Astros. It's undecided who's going to be on the mound for the Red Sox. Boston, according to the ESPN predictor, is supposedly heavily predicted to win. I don't quite understand why that is, especially since we have Hunter Brown on the mound. We will see. But I think this is heavily skewed in the wrong direction. If it were 50-50, I could accept that. But saying that the Red Sox will win by such a large margin is stupid. I'm not a betting man, but I would think that Hunter Brown's going to have a good game here, and they're going to. Okay, the Astros are going to have. If you notice, they're going to have Hunter Brown, Colton Gordon, and Framber Valdez. And what I think is, if you look here, right here, right over here, Brown, Gordon, Valdez. Obviously, the weak link in this lineup is Gordon. But I think that Gordon's going to have a good game. And if he has a good game, then we have a strong chance to sweep this series in Boston. And we have several players that play well in Boston. So I think we're going to have a good series. Anyway, the only other thing left to do right now is to check the full scoreboard and take a look at any scores of note. Let's look around the league right quick. Anything of importance going on? Maybe not right now. Yeah, all these games are starting later pretty much. Well, the Blue Jays beat the Orioles 9-8. The Orioles gave it the old college try, but they came up just a little short, unfortunately. The Diamondbacks failed us and lost to the Tigers 7-2. Man, the Red Sox destroyed the Twins. Terrible job there, Twins. Let's see here. The Curbs, don't care. Yeah, that's pretty much it for now. All the other games are going to start a little later. The Rangers and the Angels are going to play here in about 4 hours. Are the Mariners off today? Looks like it. No, they're not. They're playing the Athletics. Go A's. Maybe Kurtz will have a good series against the Mariners. We'll see. Hopefully the Astros can pull ahead of those teams. So I'll be taking a look at those a little later to see what happens. But that's all for today. Let me take one final look at the live stream chat to thank you all again for being here. Once again, thank you to my new member, Gregory Martinez. Thank you so much for joining my memberships. For those of you who want to help the channel, if you can afford just a couple of bucks a month, trust me, it's very cheap. Then you can use my emojis, and then when I start to do some private live streams or release some members only videos, you'll have access to those. But as a member, you can use the emojis, and the more members I have, the more custom emojis I can make, and we can vote on which emojis. But I think what I'm going to do is only allow my members to vote on which new emojis we make. So in order to vote for which emojis we get in the live chat, you're going to have to be a member. Just another bonus of being a member. Let's see here. Yeah, you're right, Michael. The team has overperformed. Considering what we've had and what we've had to go through, definitely it's overperformed. So I can't complain. I have no right to complain about where we're at. Yep, positive vibrations, Drambam. That's right. We won this game because we believed we could, and we did, says Crispy. That's right. We believed, and we did. Another series win. That's absolutely right. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. Sunday, 10:35 a.m. in Houston. Yep. Big time difference, right? Go A's and Angels for sure. Well done, Augusto. That's right. The line, you're spot on. And thank you, Drambaum. Thank you always. That's right, old dog. That's why I call them the homeless A's, because they don't have I don't know why they don't just put Las Vegas. Isn't that where they're going? But they're not doing that yet. So, pretty funny. Christina Sue, or Sue? I think it's Sue, maybe. You're welcome and thank you. Yep, trade deadline is tomorrow. Yeah, actually, that's one thing that I might could look at right quick. Let me look one more time to make sure there are no new transactions for the Astros today. Probably not. Yeah, there's nothing new. No new transactions for the Astros. So no trade information right now. Not at the moment. Absolutely. Everyone stay blessed, just like Robert Garcia said. And like Shirley says, see you Friday. Saturday for me. Until game 1 of the Red Sox series, all I have to say is thank you very much. Thank you for the likes. Thank you for the subs. Thank you for the donations. Thank you for the memberships. Thank you for the love. And go Stros. See you in a couple of days, everyone. Have a good